Hey there, regulators. Aaron Montgomery here with today's secret sauce. I want to talk to you guys about something that actually completely changed my business, my personal health, and how I experience my day to day life. So, for the first 45 years of my life, I'm a few years beyond that now, I didn't celebrate wins at all, like at all. Uh, Unless it was a massive, massive victory, and there weren't a whole lot of those, to be honest with you. And so, if I wasn't at my ultimate goal, then in my mind, I had to just keep grinding, right? Head down. There was always more work to do. And even when I had a win that felt a little bit unearned, I even avoided celebrating that. Heck, ask my wife about bowling with me early in our relationship. If I got a strike that wasn't perfectly thrown and felt more lucky than skilled, I was an unhappy camper, right? And so, hit a goal, great. On to the next thing. Solve a problem, whatever, cool. 6, 7, right? What's broken now? So, and I don't know if I use 6, 7 correctly there, but the kids will tell me. So over time, that mindset didn't just wear down in my business. It actually affected my energy, my health, and honestly, my joy. Actually, in 2018, I ended up in the emergency room with a hypertensive crisis. And progress without acknowledgement, it feels like pressure. And then that pressure went unchecked and it turned into burnout. And in my case, it was a hospital visit, right? And I know that decorators are especially guilty of this, right? An order goes out, a problem gets solved, customers are happy, and instead of pausing and going, "Hey, we did a good job," we immediately start looking for the next fire, right? We've got plenty of things on the plate to put the fires out, and so our brains really never get the signal that we're actually winning. And so that's where celebrating small wins comes in. This is nothing to do with ego. It's not about bragging. This is actual brain science that I didn't know until back in 2016, 2018. When you acknowledge a win, even a small one, your brain actually releases dopamine. Dopamine isn't just a feel good chemical. I think we've all heard of dopamine as kind of that feel good chemical. But it's a motivational chemical and it's also a learning chemical. It tells our brain that that behavior, that thing mattered, right? And it wants more of that. So when that happens, your brain then strengthens your neural pathways that lead to that actually led to that win, and it's going to increase the likelihood that you'll repeat that behavior over and over again. So really, if you want to break it down into simple terms, what you celebrate, your brain wants more of it. Now here's the important part: dopamine is released based on perception, not size. Your brain doesn't care if the win was huge or tiny. It only cares that you noticed. And so that's why the small wins matter far more than we think. Big wins, by definition, are rare. Your nervous system can't wait months or years for the reinforcement it needs. It needs the regular proof that progress is happening. So when your brain believes progress is happening, it shifts out of that survival mode, that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, into this creative, problem solving, joyous mode. And that's where better decisions, clearer thinking, and true confidence comes from. So let me flip this around. When you don't acknowledge wins like I was, your brain stays focused on the threats and the problems. And then cortisol, the stress hormone, that stays elevated. And your brain starts to associate effort with pressure instead of reward. And it makes you want to do less, right? That's why we get the burnout. We just want to hide in a cave. And so a ton of business owners say, I'm doing well, but it doesn't feel like it. They're feeling overwhelmed because they have this perceived lack of progress. Their brain has no evidence of success. And the truth is, even your business surviving another day is progress. What you learn today is what propels you forward into tomorrow. So when I learned this brain science, I realized that I'm a typical Gen Xer, right? That's my generation. I'm a Gen Xer. And I'm somebody that was conditioned to suppress emotions. I distrust praise. I normalize stress. Like if I don't have stress, something's wrong. And I keep moving without acknowledgement. And so because of that, I knew that if I was going to overcome this, I had to be intentional. My default mode was confusing endurance with success and pressure with progress. So I had to go so far as I built what I call my empowered life system. And it's just a personal planning system that I use every day. And it's all centered around wins and gratitude. So every single day I write down 5 wins, big, small, it doesn't matter. Some days it's, adding somebody new to the accelerator program. On other days, it's having the hard conversation that I would have avoided in the past. Some days the win is just choosing to rest instead of pushing harder. But at the end of the week, I review those wins throughout the week and I carry my top 5 forward. And then at the end of the month, I have a list of 25 wins. And I go through that list of 25 wins and I break out the pom poms, right? We celebrate those wins. And so when I started intentionally capturing those wins, I didn't just start feeling better. I actually started noticing more opportunities. I made clearer decisions. I showed up more confidently and my business grew in healthier ways. Why? Well, because the brain is a pattern finding machine. If you train it to look for problems, it will find more problems. If you train it to notice progress, it will help you create more progress. So celebrating wins actually creates momentum. And momentum is actually neurological. These wins are going to stack, they're going to grow and become sustainable instead of the normal exhaustion that we're in. So if you're like I was for the first 45 years of my life, um, I want to leave you with a challenge, right? And I want you to start small, and because this is going to be a big change if you're not somebody that celebrates regularly. And so it's going to take some very intentional work here, and it's going to feel very uncomfortable at first. But here's the challenge: every day, write down at least one win. Not someday, not when things slow down, not when I get something that's worthy of a win. Today. In fact, you know what? Do it right now. Do it right now. What's one win that you had this week? Write it down. I'm gonna wait. Terry, get your junior yellow legal pad out. I want to see you writing. What's one? All right. Pat yourself on the back. Right. Let's get the pom poms out. Let's share. Now share that with somebody close to you if you can. Right. That's the next step. And be intentional. This is a 7 day a week thing, not a Monday through Friday thing. Not I'm going to do it 3 times this week. Oh, is today the day I'm going to do it or not? Just make it easy on yourself. Every single day, 7 days a week. Train your brain to recognize progress instead of pressure. All right. So that's your secret sauce for today. Celebrate the wins you're already creating because when you celebrate, your brain is wired to create more of it.